So hi folks, here I am with the legend that is Kevin Kelly. Kevin I've known for some years, haven't seen him for a while. We did a DVD back in 2007 or something called Jimmy White, the One and Only, and Kevin is a very good friend of Jimmy, so we're going to be chatting about him and Kevin's life and everything else. So lovely to see you, Kevin.
Hi, Liam.
Now, you obviously have been around Jimmy for many years, but it's been important to know more about you yourself. I mean, have you always been a snooker player? What was the thing?
I started playing snooker probably when I was about 12. There was a snooker club near my school and I played a few games, and in my summer holidays and weekends I got a job in a golf club, and in the winter when the golf course was closed, I played golf every day. When the course was closed and it was snowing and frost, they had a snooker club, so I was drawn into this snooker room with 2 tables, and I just loved the game, and I just picked up a cue and I could pot a ball, and I thought this is such a great game, and ever since then I played snooker. I just loved it.
What was your sort of level of talent and ability at snooker?
Well, I'd sort of regard myself as above average, but I didn't spend enough time at it. As I got on in life, I got married, had kids, had business, but I would have probably liked to have played, but I played to a reasonable standard as an amateur, you know.
But you've been around all the main snooker players like all of your life, really, and you've probably spent more time with snooker players than probably anybody around.
Yeah, that's true. I did. Yeah, and I did practice a bit in early years, and I went to live in a place called Jersey, and I attained a reasonable standard there. I actually represented Jersey. They used to have an inter-insular with Guernsey every year, and it was a big thing to get in the Jersey snooker team, and I managed that a couple of times, so that was a big thing for me. Yeah.
So where were you brought up? What was your starting point in life? Where were you brought up?
I was brought up in Dublin. Mm-hmm. So I played snooker, but mostly we played a game called live pool, where you played for money, and everybody had a colour, a ball, and if you see the old boards in clubs, you see pieces of the board that pull out with 3 little stars on. They were the lives you had. Everybody had 3 lives, and if your ball was potted, you lost a life, and it was all about playing for money. But it was good practice because you learned to play safe, so the guy behind you wouldn't pot your ball, and you learned potting because you had to pot the guy in front of you to get the money, and you also learned position to get from one ball to pot the next. So a lot of the players played that game in the early days in the dingy snooker club in Dublin.
So what was your first sort of introduction to Jimmy and getting into all of that whole world? Because you've travelled with Jimmy for, God, it must be 20 or 30 years now and stuff like that. And how did you first get involved?
I was involved with snooker before I met Jimmy. I actually met Alex Higgins in Jersey. I was working in a hotel, and somebody came up to me and said, "There's one of those snooker guys up in the bar." I said, "What guy?" He said, "A professional." I said, "Well, who is it?" And they said, "Well, don't know his name, but he's a professional." This would have been about 1973. And I went upstairs, and it was Alex Higgins, who I instantly recognised. And I said, "Hi, Alex." And he said, "Where's the nearest snooker club?" So I said, "Well, I'm going to practice, but I finish at 2 o'clock. So he said, "I'll wait for you." And he came down to the snooker club, and he played there for a week, and it was quite amazing. Everybody stopped what they were doing and watched.
Did he have amazing charisma and stuff?
Yeah, he just had that presence about him, and the way he played was astonishing. I mean, I couldn't believe that he'd walked into the bar and I'm playing snooker against him. So he insisted on playing for money. He said, "I only play for money." He said, "I'll give you a 56 start for £3 a frame." And I lost some money, but I won a few frames, but I can't remember. But
so you actually beat the great man himself?
No, I didn't beat him, but I won a few frames with 56 start. But I lost money, but it was worth every penny.
Tell us about Alex, because your association with Alex goes from there right through up to his death, and I think he did some tours as well, which I was lucky enough to film some of when he was with Jimmy near the end. Tell us some stuff about Alex.
Well, I met Alex again, funny enough, after Jersey, I left Jersey and I went to live in Ireland. I bought a couple of pubs in Ireland, and so I had a career as a publican. I still played snooker, but I didn't have a lot of time. And Alex came to Cork, and there was a big exhibition in 1981, which would have been probably 8 years after I met him in Jersey. So I was lucky enough to be selected as one of the 8 or 9 to play him in the Savoy Theatre in Cork. So that was quite interesting night, and he produced the goods. But I had a tiny chance of beating him that night, but I didn't.
What was it like to because I know you sort of arranged and helped with some of those tours in his later years. Well, what was he like as a character then?
Difficult, but I found him okay. He didn't bother me too much, but he was a difficult person to deal with. For other people, he could be awkward. Let's put it that way.
And when you went out with him, I mean, it was still fun and lively. Did he have a problem eating towards the end? Didn't
yes, it was quite sad because people thought he just drank all the time, but he didn't really. He wasn't a huge drinker. He did have a drink, but he didn't look after himself at the end. He wasn't eating, but he did have the throat cancer, which he seemed to have got through, but he just didn't have any appetite and didn't look after himself really.
I mean, he was still playing very well when I saw him, even at the end in those exhibitions and stuff. I mean, it must have been an amazing experience to go round with him.
Yeah, it was. I think most of the general public just wanted to meet him and shake his hand and have a photograph because he had that charisma, you know. He wasn't playing that well towards the end, obviously, but
occasionally you'd see those moments of magic.
Occasionally you get the odd one, yeah. But I mean, in his early days, he was quite amazing. I mean, to watch if he were a snooker player. Yeah.
What was he sort of mentally like over those last few years? Was he bothered about his condition, or was he just?
He was very sharp, very intelligent person. Yeah. People, when you knew him, when you met him, and were close to him, he was very intelligent, very sharp. He would do the telegraph crossword, and he liked to bet on the horses, but a very clever person, you know.
Absolutely. And you went to his funeral?
Yes, that was really sad. Yeah, I was myself. Well, a lot of snooker players were there. I was there with Jimmy and Ken Doherty. We helped to carry the coffin from his house to the horse and carriage, which was quite sad, but.
So what is it about snooker that has really brought you into it? Well, why is it so interesting to you? You love the game?
Yeah, I just love playing, and then in the early 70s when I was in Jersey, I got selected again to play. The club had an exhibition. They brought Ray Reardon to play, and he just won his 6th world title, so it was a big honour to play against him. So I really found that exciting, you know, because the club had built some tiered seating, took away 2 tables, and there was about 300 people watching that. So it was butterflies to play against the likes of him. He was a fabulous player. Yeah.
How did you get on?
I lost that as well, yeah, unfortunately. But after that, I booked Ray Reardon many times to come to Jersey. I began to arrange exhibitions. I then booked this young player in 1994. I booked him through Barry Hearn for a weekend in Jersey, and his name was Ronnie O'Sullivan. So in the meantime, between booking him and arranging a couple of little exhibitions, he won the wild card for the Masters, and in November he won the UK Championship, become the youngest player ever to win it. So I changed the plan a bit. Instead of the small couple of little exhibitions, I booked a leisure centre, and I phoned Jimmy White, and I put on an exhibition, and I think I sold 800 tickets. And that was
fantastic.
A bit.
So you were like a promoter at the time?
Yeah. I booked. Previous to that, I booked Ray Reardon, Tony Knowles, then Jimmy, John Virgo, Ronnie O'Sullivan.
So what's Ronnie O'Sullivan like as a person?
Fantastic character, yeah. I mean, I met him when he was 18, so he's still the same character to me. I mean, his TV image, he speaks his mind, but people...
That's what they want.
That's what they want, yeah. I think so, but he's still a great character, yeah. I just met him recently in Gibraltar, yeah. we bump into each other quite a lot, you know. I like him as a character, and as a snooker player, he's amazing, you know, amazing.
So you kind of went into snooker. So you started by doing, like, you know, the exhibitions and stuff like that. And then how did you move on from that? You had an association with Jimmy, obviously.
Well, yeah, I became quite friendly with Jimmy because I must have booked Jimmy in Jersey, I don't know how many times, and many exhibitions, and it was always a sellout. So I don't count as an exhibition with Jimmy. Then we became quite good friends, and a management company in Ireland, Jimmy became involved with, and I became involved with that, working for that management company who were managing Jimmy for 5 years. So that's really...
Yeah, how that...
I got into snooker, like, if you like, full time, you know.
What's it like being backstage, you know, all these major championships? Have you really enjoyed that experience?
Yeah, it's fabulous because the snooker family, as people call it, are great people. All the players are great characters, and everybody knows each other, and they're always happy to meet each other, and there's no nastiness. Everybody, they're doing the job, and it's good fun.
Do you think the players now are as charismatic as they used to be? I mean, you know, when I look back at the golden era of snooker, there seem to be some amazing personalities. Are there the same strong personalities now?
Well, I think there's still characters in the game, but people tend to look back and look at the 80s and say they were all characters, but there weren't so many. So they were all characters. Every snooker player was a character in the 80s, but now on the tour there's 128 players.
Yes.
Plus those that are not on the tour. So there seems to be, people think there are less characters, but there's more players, but there's still characters.
Yeah, yeah.
In the 80s there weren't so many players.
No. Do you have any particular favourite snooker players now that you like watching?
And obviously I watch Jimmy a lot, but I like watching Ronnie O'Sullivan, and I like watching Judd Trump.
Yes, yeah. It's a great
exciting players, yeah. But there are other players I like. Jack Lisowski I like watching. I think he's quite an exciting player.
Yes.
Good to watch, you know. He's going to win some stuff, you know.
So Jimmy now has to kind of qualify now for the World Championships. Well, what's it like? I mean, I went up to Pontins, I think, when he was qualifying one time. Quite difficult to qualify in there, and it's a kind of weird atmosphere there, isn't it?
There's no qualifiers in Pontins anymore. No. It wasn't the nicest place to have to go, in a little booth with maybe 15 people squeezed in, and they're almost touching the players, eating packets of crisps, and it wasn't enjoyable. But now they have the qualifiers in Sheffield, and it's a bit more space, but it's very difficult because all the players outside the top 16 have to qualify. So the 16 are in the Crucible, and the other players, Jimmy has to win 4 matches to get to the Crucible. So
what is your favourite snooker tournament? Is it the World Championship? Or
my favourite snooker tournament is the Masters. We've been going there for many years, and it was fantastic to be at the Masters because you get a lot of people come there. There's a great atmosphere. There's 2,500 people. Okay, the World Championship, the Crucible is a fantastic venue. It's the place, but the Masters is my favourite because of the size of the event and the people who come there. It's a great atmosphere.
So what is your sort of role now within snooker? Do you spend your time with Jimmy, or do you with other players, or how would you describe
yourself?
Most
of the time, if I travel anywhere, I go with Jimmy. I don't have any involvement with any other players. No.
Yeah.
We do meet other players, and we do exhibitions with many. Well, especially like John Virgo, we do a lot of exhibitions. But John doesn't play anymore, but he does MC and does his trick shots, and obviously we still do exhibitions with Ronnie O'Sullivan, Ken Doherty.
Yes, fantastic. Now I'm going to put you on the spot now. Your top 5 snooker players of all time were from 5 downwards.
Oh gosh, I do have so many arguments about that. You need to do a top 10, I think.
All right, go for a top 10.
5 is too difficult.
Yeah. I
could do the top 10, but I don't like doing it in numbered 1 to 10.
No. Okay. All right. How are you going to do that? 10 to 1?
Not in a particular order, because I don't think it's fair, because different eras, it's different conditions. I mean, you could put Joe Davis, who's there. I don't know if you can see
I'll
Joe
get a
here.
shot of that afterwards. Yeah.
I mean, he played them. I think possibly when the balls were ivory, even when they were like a ton weight, and so did other players, and then crystallite and super. The conditions, the cloths are better. So I don't like to compare
Joe Davis.
Joe Davis with Judd Trump or with Jimmy White or with anybody, but I could probably name my top 10 players, but not in 1 to 10 or 10 to 1.
Right, just give us a few. All right, who did you? I've got to ask you this one. Who did you think was better? Was it Alex Higgins or Ronnie O'Sullivan?
Once again, difficult. I personally think Ronnie O'Sullivan is the greatest player I've ever seen.
Yes, and where does Jimmy rate in the top
Jimmy
10?
Jimmy is right up there in the list. I mean, my list will be not in the order. Would be Ronnie O'Sullivan, Jimmy White, Alex Higgins, Stephen Hendry, John Higgins, Ray Reardon. I put in there. I have many arguments with people who said they don't include him. No. He is in my top 10 of all time, without a single doubt. Yeah. Steve Davis, could not leave him out of the top 10 of all time, without a shadow of a doubt. Steve Davis is there. Yeah. Very tough player. Every player will tell you that to play against. Fantastic player. It was amazing, and his determination, and so I put him there without a doubt. The younger players now, it's difficult to say the greatest of all time because they've still yet to prove themselves. But I'd put Mark Williams in there.
Yes.
Because I think he's earned his place in that. Judd Trump. So I think that's.
They are the ones.
They're the ones, and if you go overseas, I'd put probably Neil Robertson in.
So is snooker a glamorous life, or is it like a load of driving? Is it hard work? What is it like?
It's not as glamorous as it looks, because the glamour part is people see it on the TV and everything is lights and bright and lovely. But the players have to travel. It's not easy. They have to travel, stay. When they lose, they've got to go home. It's not as glamorous as it looks. It's hard work, and they have to practice day after day after day. The public don't see that. They see them turning up on the telly. It all looks wonderful, which it is if you get there. But there's so much hard work behind the scenes. It's unbelievable how hard they practice and have to work.
And it seems to me, I mean, when I did this documentary, I don't know too much about snooker, but when I did this documentary, it seemed quite a cruel game because you make one mistake. And then you've lost the frame, or you've lost the match.
It is one of the cruelest sports of all time, because you can be also a tiny bit unlucky, but you can play a best of 9 and lose 5-0, and you could have won the 5 frames.
Yes.
That's how close it is. It's fractions, and one shot can turn it. People look at the scoreboard and they say 5-0. They think he was thrashed. Yeah. But if you're at the match, certain matches. It could have been 5-0 the other way, The frame of snooker can turn. It's a strange game, and like you say, it's very cruel.
And also, the difficulty is translating the practice onto the match play, isn't it? I mean I know you've seen that with Jimmy quite a lot. The amazing amount of practice he does. But generally, it's quite a difficult thing to do, isn't it?
Well, it's the same. Every player, they practice, but it doesn't always work on the match on the day. It's how you perform on the day. No matter how much you practice on the day, you can play great or you can struggle. It's a strange game. If you could work out how that works, you'd probably never lose. You'd be a multi-millionaire if you knew how the formula for that. Nobody knows the answer to that one.
No. So Kevin's made a bit of a comeback now. He's on the seniors tour. How are you getting on with that?
Well, the seniors tour is great fun because it's come about any player who's over 40 and can play in the seniors tour and end up playing the top players like Jimmy, Hendry, John Parrott, Dennis Taylor, the legends of snooker, and I've been playing on that. But fortunately, I'm a bit older than most of the people on it, so I haven't done very well, but it's so enjoyable that you can still play in these tournaments, you know.
Have you played any of the top names in there?
I played Dean Reynolds,
Yes.
who played at the Crucible.
Yeah.
I played. My last one, I got beaten by Peter Lyons, who's actually won the World Senior. So that was a tough match for me. A lot of the other matches, they're top amateurs. I played, I got beat by him. I enjoyed that match. Barry Pinchas.
Yes.
Who's a great player. Barry, a great character also, you know. So it's a great camaraderie as well, the seniors tour.
And didn't Jimmy win the seniors tour?
Jimmy's won it 3 times.
Yeah, fantastic. And was one at the Crucible?
Yes, yeah.
How was that for
That
him?
was amazing. I mean, for Jimmy to win, that was probably one of the best events I've ever been at.
Well, was he very emotional?
Yeah,
I imagine.
Yeah. That was just brilliant to win there and get the trophy, and he played fantastic in the whole tournament. Yeah.
Do you think? I mean, just talking very briefly about Jimmy, who I have to say, if he does watch this, I would say I had such a fantastic time making that DVD. It was so charming, both of you. What an experience! Fantastic. Does he still harbour ambitions then in snooker?
Yeah. He's now in Sheffield practicing. He's gone there and he's playing every day, practicing for the World Championship qualifiers, which he plays on Monday.
Yes.
At 7:30, he plays Andrew Paget, and he's going to win 4 matches.
So it's quite tough. He's got to get through four people.
Four matches to get to the Crucible.
Yeah, I mean that's
and
tough.
then you would, the draw for the Crucible is made the sort of Saturday before, so you won't know who you're playing if you do qualify for. But it's the same for most of the players. But it's a tiered system now. Depending on where you're ranked, you can either play 4, 3, 2, or 1 match.
Because he played Hendry, didn't he, a couple of years ago? I think a year ago. Yeah.
Both of them didn't really produce on that. It was a scrappy match, but yeah.
Steve Davis or Hendry? Who was the better player, do you think?
If you go on the results, you have to pick Stephen Hendry.
Yeah.
You have to. Steve Davis, tough player to beat, probably one of the toughest ever. But if you go on results and how good he was, you'd have to pick Hendry, just pipping Davis, yeah.
And what is your favourite snooker player style of play? Do you like that sort of Stephen Hendry grinding it out style, or do you like the flamboyance of Higgins and Jimmy and stuff? Or
I like the flamboyance because I started playing snooker. I watched Higgins, and I don't like robotic players, and the players with the flair is what I want to watch. You know, they're the ones who make snooker watchable on TV and at exhibitions, you know.
So one of the really interesting experiences I had when I was following them around was meeting Ronnie Wood. He's not a bad player, is he?
No, he can put a few balls in. They actually, on their concerts, I don't know if they still do it, they always had the snooker table backstage in the hotel or whatever, and Ronnie would play a frame with Keith Richards before they went on stage. So I also invited a couple of times, as he's a great friend of Jimmy's, to his stud farm in Ireland. We spent a few days there, which was very enjoyable. You know, Ronnie is a lovely person, a great character. But we're hoping to go to one of the concerts this year to see the Rolling Stones.
Oh, fantastic!
But I'm a music fan also, because I went to see the Rolling Stones twice in 1964 and 1965.
Oh, really? When they were right at the sort of start and the peak and stuff?
In Dublin. I used to go to a lot of music concerts, and the Stones were my favourite. So it was a big honour to meet Ronnie Wood.
Absolutely, and I have to say, my favourite band, the Stones, so we've got that in common. I absolutely love them. I've seen them a couple of times, but they are still the business for me. Absolutely.
I did like them. They were controversial in their day when I was a teenager, and they came and they were in the papers. People were saying these are terrible people, you know. They won't last 12 months. They're still going out 60 years now, the Rolling Stones. Yeah.
Do you still like to have a bit of a party? You weren't known over the years to have
was I?
No, he's never been. No, he's always been very good.
I've been to the odd party, but now I'm slowing down now. I'm like mellowing, and I just now have like tea and cupcakes in the afternoon.
Yeah, I've seen that, which is good. Do you have any ambitions for the future? So maybe like to win the seniors.
I would love to do on the seniors. I'm going to practice now because with the COVID and that, it stopped.
Yeah.
On the seniors tour, there's tournaments throughout the year.
So there's a whole circuit, is there?
Yes,
Oh,
but you've got to qualify. When you qualify for the final stages, which is the UK Championship Seniors and the World Championship Seniors. But
fantastic.
You get to play that weekend at the Crucible, and maybe 8 players. So you'll have different tournaments. So you maybe 8 chances of making it, and then you'll be drawn against either Jimmy or. Well, it was, I know Dennis is playing now, it was Jimmy, Dennis Taylor, John Parrott, Cliff Thorburn. He's retired this year, so I've met him a few times. Cliff's a great character on the seniors tour.
We met him on the DVD actually, yeah.
So you win one of these tournaments, you qualify to play at the Crucible, or the last one, the UK, was in Hull, which is, that's what I'd like to do, and I'd like to be drawn against, well, whoever, maybe Jimmy or Stephen Hendry.
Yeah, you teach them a lesson. Yeah,
but it's tough to get there because the players, amateurs and ex-professionals, are so good. There's so many playing now. It's difficult, but maybe if I keep practicing, who knows?
Absolutely. What was the best snooker match that you ever saw, that you watched?
Probably Jimmy and Alex Higgins in the '82 semi-final was amazing.
Yes. Didn't he do an amazing clearance?
Yeah. Because he went on to beat Ray Reardon then in the final, but I mean, the clearance against Jimmy will never be repeated again because the players today wouldn't go for those shots. It was just astonishing.
Amazing, wasn't it? Yeah, I remember that.
That was an amazing match. Yeah.
So that's your favourite. And had Jimmy beat?
Well, I wouldn't say it was my favourite. I would have liked Jimmy to win, but it was an amazing match to watch.
Do you think Jimmy would have gone on and beat Ray Reardon?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Close so many times, but it kind of hangs over that sort of that 6 times thing. But he's so much more than that.
There's so much more than that.
Yeah.
So I don't see why people even dwell on that.
Exactly.
I mean, as a snooker player, any snooker player, to get to the Crucible
is astonishing.
To get to a final is astonishing. So, but I mean, a lot of snooker players' dreams is just to get to the Crucible. To actually be in that. 32 to play there is a dream for most snooker players.
And he's won so many other titles.
Everywhere, all over the world.
Which is fantastic. What about for you personally, your greatest snooker match?
My best performance, I think I won the Cork Open in 1981, which was a big thing for me.
That was a big deal then.
It was, and you got prize money, so that was.
How many people do you have to beat to win the Cork?
I can't remember. I can't remember. There was probably 64 in it or something like that.
That's an amazing achievement. So you were and still are a very good snooker player.
Well, I'd like to think so. But, I mean, not everyone else would agree with me.
So, final question: how do you want to be remembered, Kevin?
Remembered as an all-time great snooker player.
There's no doubt in my mind that is true.
There's a lot of doubt in my mind.
Well, that's brilliant. Thank you very much to Kevin Kelly for sharing those snooker memories. What a great time I had making that DVD, which I will always remember. So see you soon. So, got anything to say to your family, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting you all soon. I'm going to be visiting Jersey soon to see Desmond and my granddaughter Savannah. And also my 2 daughters, Alison and Ingrid, who live in Cork, near Ingrid in Kinsale, beautiful part of Cork, and my 2 grandsons, Mael and MacDara, they're half French and half Irish.
So what does family mean to you?
Everything. They're wonderful, they're great. It's great to see them doing so well and being happy. That's the main thing, They've grown into like lovely children, which is fantastic.
How did you take to being a father?
Oh, like a duck to water. Yeah. Believe that, you believe anything.
Brilliant.